45 years. That's how long it took me to realize that everything I spent my life chasing wasn't the thing I actually wanted. Not even close. My name is James. I'm 76 years old, and I'm sitting here in this house in Portland, Oregon. Nice house, 4 bedrooms, morning light through the kitchen window, sitting here completely alone. And I need to say something I should have said a long time ago. I wasted it. Not all of it, but enough. Enough that it matters. Enough that I feel it every single morning when I wake up and the house is quiet and the coffee goes cold because there's nobody here to remind me it's getting cold. I'm not recording this for sympathy. I don't deserve sympathy. I'm recording this because I turned 76 last March, and something about that number finally broke something loose inside me. Some wall I'd been maintaining for decades. And what came out from behind that wall was the truth I'd been very carefully avoiding. So that's what this is. Just the truth. Finally, I grew up watching my father work himself into exhaustion. Same factory floor, 31 years, same tired eyes every single evening when he walked through the door. I loved my father, but I made a decision early, quietly, privately, the way young men make decisions they think will protect them. I decided I would build something. I would have something to show for my time here on Earth. So at 22, fresh out of Ohio State, I took a position at an accounting firm in Chicago. And I don't mean I worked hard the way people casually say it at dinner parties. I mean I made work the center of gravity of my entire life. Everything else, everything orbited around it. First one in the office, last one out. Calls on weekends. Files spread across the kitchen table on Sunday mornings. A mind that never fully came home, even when my body did. I genuinely believed that was what a serious man looked like. I married Carol in 1979. She was warm and patient and good, genuinely good, in a way I didn't fully appreciate until I no longer had her to appreciate. We had 2 children. Marie, born in 1981, Thomas, born in 1984. I remember the night Carol told me Thomas was maybe 3 years old. She said, "James, he asked me this morning where you go every day." I felt proud. I thought, good that he notices I leave. That means someday he'll understand that leaving is how a man takes care of his family. I was so certain of that, so completely, quietly certain. I am 76 years old now, and I think about that moment more than almost any other. That tiny boy asking where his father disappears to every morning. And his father, somewhere across town, feeling proud of himself for disappearing. Thomas was 9 years old when it happened. Moment I keep coming back to, no matter how hard I try to leave it alone. He had a Little League baseball game on a Saturday in October. I had promised him I would be there. He had been talking about it all week. I remember him at breakfast the morning before, telling me which position he was playing, telling me where to sit in the bleachers so he could find me. That night, a client called. A problem with a report. I worked until 2 in the morning trying to fix it. By morning, without much deliberation, and that's the part that still gets me how little deliberation there was, I picked up my briefcase and drove to the office. I let Carol tell him I wasn't coming. When I came home that evening, Thomas was at the kitchen table doing his homework. I sat down next to him. I said, "Hey, bud, how was the game?" He looked up at me. He said, "We won." That was the entire conversation, and I remember feeling relieved. I thought, he's fine. Kids are resilient. He's already moved on. No damage done. But I understand now what I was too self-absorbed to understand then. He wasn't fine. He was 9 years old, and he was already learning, quietly, privately, how to need less from me, how to expect less, how to absorb the disappointment of an absent father without making it a scene, because making it a scene hadn't changed anything, and he was smart enough to figure that out. I taught my son that lesson before he was 10 years old. I taught him that I was not someone worth saving a seat for. Carol and I separated in 2003. No explosion, no dramatic moment, just Two people who had been quietly holding something very heavy for a very long time, finally agreeing in a tired and gentle way to put it down. The night we decided, she sat across from me at that kitchen table, the one with the morning light, and she said, "James, I don't think you ever fully arrived here. In this life. In our life. I don't think you ever completely showed up," I argued. I listed everything I had done. The hours, the sacrifices, the financial security, the life I had built for this family. I told her I had given everything. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't fight back. She just looked at me with these tired, clear eyes and said, "I know, James. I know you did." And somehow that was so much worse than any argument she could have made, because she wasn't disputing what I had given. She was pointing at what I had withheld. And those are two entirely different things. You can give a family everything material, the house, the security, the opportunities, and still withhold the one thing they actually needed: your presence, your full, undivided, genuinely glad to be here presence. I provided for my family for over 20 years. I just wasn't really there. I kept working after the divorce. Of course I did. Work was the only place I had ever truly known how to exist. And professionally, those years after 2003 were the best of my career. More responsibility, more recognition, a reputation that would have astonished my younger self. I sat on a board. I spoke at conferences. People in my field knew my name. I ate dinner alone almost every night. Marie called regularly. She was always careful with me. Kind, gentle, choosing safe topics. Her kids, her job, the weather. I loved those calls. But I also knew every time we hung up that there was a whole other conversation sitting underneath that one, a real one that we were both choosing very carefully not to have. Thomas stopped calling, gradually, then completely. I told myself he was busy. He had his own family by then, his own life, his own pressures. I understood busy. I had spent my entire life understanding busy. But some nights I'd sit here with my phone in my hand, his name on the screen, and I couldn't make myself press call because I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know how to account for all of it. The games I missed, the dinners where I was somewhere else, the years of showing him without a single word that work would always win. How do you start that conversation? I'm 76 years old. I still don't know. I retired in 2018. The firm threw a party, speeches, a slideshow, handshakes, kind words about my 4 decades of dedication and integrity. I stood there smiling, waiting for it to feel like something. Like the moment when all those years of sacrifice would finally arrange themselves into some clear and satisfying meaning. That moment never came. The party ended. I drove home, walked into this house, sat in this chair. Quiet, completely quiet. Last year, I was sorting through boxes in my study, the kind of clearing out you do when you've begun to honestly accept that there is more life behind you than ahead of you. And I found a birthday card, handmade, construction paper, crayon drawing on the front, from Thomas. He must have been around 12 when he made it. Inside, in that big, unsteady handwriting kids have when they're still learning to write carefully, he had written, "Happy birthday, Dad. I hope one day we can go fishing, like you promised. Love, Thomas." I don't remember promising to take him fishing. I don't remember that conversation at all. But he remembered it. At 12 years old, he was still holding on to it, still hoping, still writing it down in a birthday card, as if saying it quietly enough, gently enough, might finally make it real. I sat with that card for a very long time. I tried to remember who I was that year. What was so urgent? What was so important that a Saturday afternoon with my son and a fishing rod couldn't fit into it? I can tell you exactly what our firm's revenue was in 1996. I can tell you what deals were closing, what problems I was managing, what was at stake. I cannot tell you what Thomas's laugh sounded like when he was 12 years old. That is the record I kept. That is what I chose to remember. I'm 76. I have money I don't know what to do with, a reputation in a field I'll never work in again, a beautiful house with morning light that falls across an empty kitchen table, and a birthday card in a box in my study that I take out sometimes and just hold. That card is the most honest thing I own, because it tells the truth about what actually mattered. During all the years I was so completely certain I knew what mattered. He just wanted one Saturday. That was all he ever asked for. And I was too busy building a life to notice I was missing the whole point of living one. If you're still somewhere in the middle of your story, just notice who is still saving you a seat. Notice who is still hoping you'll show up. Because one day the house goes quiet. And the only question that will matter is whether you were really there for the moments that actually counted. I wish I had understood that at 35, not 76. That's all I wanted to say. That's all.